All right, everybody. Good morning. And I think it's about time. I hit you with a way too early season schedule prediction. I think it's about time that we just go, okay, we know that we've still got all of training camp to get through. We've got all the OTAs to get through. We've got still a little bit of free agency left, honestly. There are one or two impact guys still out there. And then, of course, the preseason before we can even start to get some kind of idea of what we're dealing with these football teams. But let's take a swing at a way too early season schedule prediction. And if you saw my stream with the Hawks Nest last week, you probably already saw me take a shot at one, but we're going to go ahead and run it all down in this video as well. And this will be my last season schedule prediction until right before the season starts. So my next prediction attempt will be with the information of the preseason and training camp and OTAs and you know there are always going to be a handful of injuries across the league during the training camp period that change your perception of things. We're going to let all that information come to us before our next one, but this one we're going to go ahead and knock out now, knowing that it is, like I said, way too early. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with week one. We are hosting the Los Angeles Rams. That's got to be a win. That's got to be an easy dub. These Rams are pretty blatantly just tanking for a season. We got them at home. We will have to deal with Matt Stafford, it looks like, because getting them in week one means the odds are good he'll still be healthy, but probably won't see him our second meeting this year if I had to guess. I don't see the Matt Stafford thing lasting that long, especially on a team that is this deficient of talent. So, Rams, that's got to be a win. Then we got the Lions in week two. We're going on the road to play Detroit. This is an interesting one. Detroit was obviously poised to make big steps after last season. They had a good free agency. I didn't like their draft that much. I still think they're going to probably be pretty good this year. But here's the thing. We are catching them at the right time, by which I mean Jameson Williams is going to be suspended for this game, and I think that's a big deal. They lost some offensive talent this offseason. They traded DeAndre Swift. They lost, I think it was DJ Chark to the Panthers. They lost Jamal Williams to the Saints, I believe. So they were counting on somebody like a Jameson Williams coming in and helping them a little bit. So getting to play them in week two is actually really, really good, I think, because he's suspended for the first 6 games of the Lions season. And I feel like that could actually tilt things back to us because this should be a high-scoring game. It's in a dome. I don't want to say that Lions defense is going to be bad again this year because I do think they made some steps in the right direction. But I do believe it is going to be a high-scoring game, and not having Jameson Williams could mean one less score. So I'm going to say that's a win as well. That gets us to 2-0. Week 3, we're hosting the Carolina Panthers, so we're getting Bryce Young very early into his rookie year. That Panthers team, they may be trending in the right direction overall. They have a nice defense, but that offense is very low on pieces to put around Bryce Young right now. I don't like their receivers. Their tight ends have been a little bit of a disappointment to me, especially Tommy Tremble, who I thought was going to be a good pro. So far, it just hasn't happened. The offensive line's okay, but overall, I'm not too impressed with what they're putting around Bryce Young, and especially this early in the season, that should pose a lot of problems for them. So I'm going to say we redeem ourselves from last year and get the win to move to 3-0. So we beat the Panthers. And then the next week, we have a Monday Night Football game. We are playing the New York Giants in New York. And I believe that this will be the first loss of the season. The Giants, I do think they're probably going to take a little bit of a step back from last year. They went from paying Daniel Jones a rookie contract to paying Daniel Jones that massive amount of money. They're now paying Saquon Barkley more money because he's on the tag. And with that, they've had to lose some of the talent that they've had. Although, I will say, that defense should continue to be pretty good, I think. That offensive line may make some strides, although I don't know if there'll be strides by the time we get to week 4. And I don't think they're ever going to be an easy team you just roll over because they are well coached. and because they don't turn the ball over nearly as much as they used to. That's the one thing you can say about Brian Daboll. He has gotten the Daniel Jones turnover thing under control. He may not be a great quarterback, but I think he's a pretty decent quarterback. So I'm going to say that is our first loss of the season. We go to 3-1, and that swings us into our bye week, early bye week. Not a huge fan of that, although you never know. What if somebody gets hurt against the Giants and would have missed week 5, but we get them back for week 6 ready to go because they got the week off? You just don't know until you get there. But there's your bye week, and then we swing right into probably the hardest game of the season. We're going on the road to play the Bengals, 10 a.m. That's got to be a loss. They've got receivers to throw at our secondary for days. They've got one of the most stacked receiver rooms in the league. They've got one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I think their defense is going to be good, even though they did lose Jesse Bates. I think they've done a pretty good job replacing him. They had a pretty good draft. So that's got to be a loss. But then we open things up in the midpoint of the season, and I think this team is going to get on a run here. So we're 3-2 at this point. Then we got home against the Cardinals. That's got to be a win. The Cardinals at this point in the season, I don't know who they're going to have at quarterback. It could be Kyler, could be Colt, could be David Blow, could be the rookie they got. I can't remember his name. It's not Stetson Bennett. It was, I can't remember his name, but it doesn't really matter. None of them are likely going to be very good. If Kyler's playing by this point in the season, it's probably because the Cardinals are getting a little too... They're overstepping it a little bit. They're taking risks they don't need to be taking because they're desperate. So they might throw him out there. But more than likely, we're going to be dealing with Colt McCoy or David Blow. And I got to believe we can take care of business this time. Colt McCoy's not going to get us again. Not going to happen. So that's a win. Then we host the Cleveland Browns. I don't know what the Browns are going to be this year. They are an enigma. I don't know if their offense is going to be good. I don't know if their defense is going to be good. Big question marks over there. They've got good players, of course. They've got many good players. But is it going to come together? Because last year it really didn't, especially on offense. You got to figure things are going to get better, but are things actually going to get good? I don't know. But at home, you should be able to take care of business against the Browns. Week 9, we go on the road to play the Baltimore Ravens, and I'm going to say this is the game that puts us on the map as true contenders. I'm going to say we roll into Baltimore, get the win, and at this point everybody realizes these Seahawks, they're a team to be reckoned with. We're going to go into Baltimore, find a way to win. Might be a little bit of a weird game, might be a little bit of an ugly game. That Ravens defense should be really good, but I'm going to say this is the game we kind of sneak in and steal. And that moves us up to, I believe it is 6 wins. And the gravy train keeps on rolling. Next week we go host Washington, the Commanders. Maybe the worst quarterback room in the league. They do have some nice pieces around the quarterback. They just don't have the quarterback. And they got a nice defensive line, but the rest of the defense, I'm not so sure about. So they're a work in progress. But as of right now, I can't say we're going to lose to a team with no quarterback at home. So that's another win. That's 4 in a row and 7 wins on the season. And then we go on the road and play the Rams. I'm not worried about playing on the road against this team. They don't really have home field advantage. It should be an easy opportunity to roll into LA, go play on that crappy new stadium, get the win, and just allow the Rams to continue to tank for Caleb Williams or whatever, or whoever they end up getting their hands on. Yeah, Rams probably not going to put up too big of a fight. I'm not really considerate of the fact that, hey, it's a road game. That doesn't mean anything to me in a game like this, so I say we get the win there. So that's 5 straight and gets us to 8-2 overall. So we're going to get off to a really good start this season. And then we hit the hard part of the schedule, and we are going to get tripped up. I don't doubt that for a second. We are hosting the San Francisco 49ers on Thanksgiving. It's a 5:20 p.m. game. That's a team that can take advantage of our weaknesses. We have clear weaknesses as a team. San Fran can pick on them more than almost anybody else. And I think it's still going to be a little too much. So even though it's a home game, a primetime game, a game where you just know this team is going to be ready to do something drastic to get the win because we lost to them 3 times last season, I don't see it. I don't see it. I think that the 5-game winning streak will have worn us out a little bit. I think we dropped that one. And then a week later, we have another Thursday night game on the road against the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys should have a really good defense this year, but I don't know what to make of their offense. Dak has fallen off a cliff, and they I don't know what they got at running back. They might have Tony Pollard back by this point in the season, but it's not a guarantee. And if they don't have him, is it just like Deuce Vaughn? Is it just Deuce Vaughn? And Tony Pollard, he's a good player, but he's also a limited player. So I'm not sure if that's exactly going to fill all the holes. Like, say what you will about Zeke Elliott, but the guy filled some holes in that offense that I don't think have been filled yet from the Dallas offseason additions. So this is a tough one. I'm going to say we go into Dallas and find a way to get the win. I'm going to say that the decline of their quarterback play, and by this point in the season, they're probably going to be a little beat up on that offensive line. You know, Tyron Smith always takes at least a few games off a year. Sometimes he takes off most of the season. By this point, he may very well be out. So I'm going to say we get the win against Dallas. Then we go on the road to play the 49ers, and I can't be moved off my position here. The Niners can take advantage of our weaknesses in a way that very few other teams can. And home, away, I don't think it matters that much. So I'm going to say the Niners get us. That's another loss. And then I'm going to say next week the Eagles kind of do the same thing. If there's one team out there that can take advantage of our weaknesses more than the Niners, it's the Eagles. Two of the best running teams in the league. And I don't think the Eagles are going to lose a lot in their running game just because they don't have Miles Sanders anymore. I think that they have a system that works. And I think that's a team that could absolutely just pound us up the middle. And they're one of the games that our run defense, which is likely going to be mediocre at best this year, is going to actually bite us. So that's a rough stretch of football. I have us going 1-3 during that stretch. And honestly, it's a little bit of a reach to say we're going to get that one. It could easily be 0-4. We could be a good team this year. We could be. And we could lose 4 straight during that stretch. I'm going to say that right now. I'm going to cop to that immediately. If it happens, it won't shock me. We're going to have to overcome it other ways. But after that, you get the Tennessee Titans, a team that looks like they are just flat out blowing it up. Sorry if you can hear my dog, by the way. They just look like they are. I don't know what Tannehill is still doing there, but he's got very little to work with. It's not a very good offensive line, not a good crop of receivers, not really good tight ends. All they got is Derrick Henry and Jeffrey Simmons. Other than that, they're stripping down a little bit here. They just got the old GM out. They got the new GM in. He's trying to figure things out from his angle. Maybe we get a little bit of Will Levis by this point in this season. I don't know. He's certainly used to playing behind the bad offensive line, I guess. But I'm not seeing a whole lot with this Titans team, even on the road. I think you go in there and take care of business. It's late in the season, so it's not going to be stupid hot like it is sometimes when you play in games in Tennessee earlier in the season, I hope. So that's nice. Should be a win there. Then we've got, last day of the year, we've got the Steelers at home, and I have funny vibes about this one, and I'm going to go ahead and pencil this one in as the weird game that gets away from us in a really dumb way. It's going to be one of those games where maybe Kenny Pickett completes 11 passes for 93 yards and throws 2 interceptions, and then the Seahawks still lose like 13-6 or something like that. It's going to be a really dumb game. That's what I'm getting. That's what I'm feeling here. It's just going to be a stupid game where we got no business losing, but we do, and we're all pissed off all week, and we're like, oh man, this season's really going down the drain here at the end. We had an opportunity to maybe get the 1 seed, get the bye week, and now we're just trying to get into the playoffs, but I feel like it's going to happen, man. I just feel like it's going to happen. I have a weird feeling about this one. So, Steelers, I'm going to say loss. And then we got the Cardinals, last game of the season. And I don't really care who they have at quarterback. They're building something decent over there for the future. But this is not the future. This is the present. And in the present, I say we get that series sweep. So you put it all together, I got us at 11 wins right now. I got us at 11-6. Good improvement over last year. Not a massive improvement. But you got to remember the schedule is harder. If we can win 11 games or even just 10 games on this schedule, that is a sign that we are headed in the right direction. So, 11-6, sign me up for that. If we can get to 11-6, I'm going to take that as a big victory, a big step in the right direction. Now, it probably means we don't win the division. It probably means we're on the road for the playoffs. So be it. I can live with that. It is what it is. You're just going to have to go win some road playoff games. We're just not as good as the Niners yet. But it's a step in the right direction, and right now that's really all you can ask for. All right, Let me know what you guys think. Go Hawks.